So my second story, anyway, she was talking about panic attacks and how panic attacks can affect you in your daily life. Now, I've never actually been one ever to have panic attacks, but as a child I was afraid of cats. Of all things to be afraid of, cats. Now, this did actually affect the way that I lived my life. I never actually realised that I was afraid of cats because mentally I'd always avoided going to places that have cats. What I mean by that is, if I knew a friend who had a cat, I wouldn't go and visit them at their home. If they didn't have cats, I would, obviously. Now, so in my last video I did mention about a girlfriend that I had who we did the Ouija boards with, and what it is, you know, she had cats, and whenever the cat was around, I mean, I don't even think that she knew that I was afraid of cats. Whenever the cat was around, it was an old cat and not the type to jump on your knee. So basically, many years later, still living my life in the same way, many years later, I bumped into the same girl, Nicola. I bumped into her, and we reformed a relationship. We were together for a year, maybe? A wonderful year, but it just wasn't right. Anyway, the point is that she still had cats. Well, one cat. But although I moved into her home, the cat wasn't around that much. It come in for food and then out again. And this cat had kittens and gave birth in one of the bedrooms. So obviously when a cat has kittens, the kittens can't really stay in the same room. Sorry, it can't have 10 kittens in one house. So I suggested that we either give them away or take them to a sanctuary. So she agreed with a sanctuary, which was not too far away. She put them in a box with some holes in it and put them in the boot, and off we went. Myself, her son, and Nicola. We arrived at the cattery, the sanctuary, and we took the kittens. I took them out of the boot of the car, carried them in, and because I was looking through, because kittens are cute, but having a fear of cats is another thing. So we carried them in, and this lady, a very dishevelled lady with long scraggly hair and dirty fingernails and, you know, like jumpers with holes in it, she invited us. So I walked into the office, holding the cardboard box with the kittens inside. My girlfriend was first, her son was second. I walked in and I'm looking through one of the holes at the top, looking at the kittens, because they're so cute. And as I walked in, I gave the box to Nicola. And as I gave the box to Nicola, I looked up and looked around. And at that point I realised I wasn't in an office, I was in a full-blown cattery. This room was full of cages, dare I say, 50 cages. There was cages everywhere and a sink with a cupboard. I'd handed over the box and Nicola's son held my hand, and the fear just shone upon my body. I had to let go of her son's hand because I could feel my body tensing up. I started to shake with tensing, and looking around the room, the cats were all in cages. Regardless of being in cages or not, it was a room full of cats. There was maybe 4 cats sitting on top of cages at the top, and you know how cats can have that look upon their face, kind of looking at you like that? They were doing this. They were all looking at me. Nobody else, just looking at me. I panicked. I looked straight to the door. I started to pull the door to open it, but I didn't realise the lady had locked the door. So she came back over, she unlocked the door. By this time my breathing is so heavy and so deep, where my lungs are filling to capacity and almost exploding. She opened the door and I went outside, and just across from where my car was parked was a small concrete curb where I was able to go and sit down. But by this time I was in panics of tears. I was crying so loud in between these breaths. What I didn't know is my telephone in my pocket didn't have the key lock on. My telephone had telephoned a work colleague. I was working as a Children's Day nursery manager, and my telephone telephoned my colleague Kim, and she could hear crying, screaming, heavy breathing. You know that sound that you get when tears come down, and you know that sound. And a few moments later she must have switched off the phone and telephoned me back, asked me was I okay, and I explained yeah, I was fine. So that was my fear, my total fear of cats. But the cutting of a long story short, unfortunately the relationship with Nicola didn't work out, and eventually I moved on, and a long time later, because it took me a while to kind of get over it, a long time later I was working in a special needs school for children between the ages of 3 and 18 years old. And so while I was working there, I kind of built up a relationship with the deputy headmistress, the deputy headmistress of the school, so she had 2 cats, 2 sister cats, twin cats, and they were Molly and Tash, and eventually we ended up living together with her cats. But at one point, it was about maybe 3 months into the relationship, the cats, although I ignored them, I never shown any love, any affection, I never looked them in the eye. If they were in the house, that was fine, as long as they were doing their thing and I was doing my thing. But one day Molly decided to jump up onto my knee, onto my lap. So here she is, my body tensed up, I started to shake, and my girlfriend Mary said, stay calm, and I did, I stayed calm, and eventually Molly jumped off. And from that moment I realised my fear of cats had completely disappeared. So maybe the whole point to that is that, is it possible to be thrusted into a situation of fear, to have a panic attack? Is it possible to be thrusted into that position to be able to get over it? I think maybe it works for me and possibly couldn't work for everybody. So okay, so that's my fear, that was my panic attack story, and that's where I came from.